You've made it to Chiro Hustle Live. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Chiro Sushi, Barbara Eaton's 56-day chiropractic boot camp, California Jam, Move Well University, the Black Diamond Club, Pure Chiro Notes, the Chiro Dex app, Dr. Alok Trivedi, Chiro Spark, Chirogram, Chiropractic Wealth Management, 8 Weeks to Wellness, Integrative Freedom, and Element Mattresses. Let's hustle. Jim Chester here. I have the live stream of the Chiro Hustle podcast going right now, and I just wanted to welcome Dr. Matthew Norton onto the show with us briefly.
Hello, Jim. Excited to be here.
Hey, thanks for being here with me. So this is a really cool opportunity for us to talk about all things Matthew Norton. The guy's done a numerous amount of things in the chiropractic profession, practiced 35 years. Son's now a chiropractor, going into his 4th year of practice, podcaster, published author, so many cool things. But before we jump into your story, I'm going to give a quick introduction to our sponsor today, and that is Dr. Barbara Eaton's 56-day chiropractic boot camp. And like we were laughing off of screen, like it's like hand holding within a hand, and success comes your way, and hopefully you get some more zeros in your bank account with that process. But thank you, Barbara Eaton, for sponsoring this episode with the 56-day chiropractic boot camp. And Dr. Matthew Norton, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic, and hello, Barbara. Thanks for sponsoring my segment today. Appreciate it.
Yeah, she's definitely a driver, isn't she?
She is. She's chasing right after you, I think, in terms of her tireless pursuit of helping doctors change the world. So it's a good thing.
Yeah, we definitely have good synergy, and we just keep on spreading the chiropractic message because we need more megaphones out there. Wouldn't you agree?
I would, yes. Apparently, even after 35 years in practice, not all the world has been saved yet through chiropractic. So there's work to be done still. Absolutely.
Well, let's jump in right away and talk a little bit about your why. Why chiropractic? Why did you devote all of your energy to this profession for 35 years?
Well, yeah, I mean, as we were talking before we got started, one of my favorite questions really to ask people is what is their biggest desired outcome for their business and their life? And I've had people tell me that question was something that helped change their life because they didn't really, most people haven't invited them to really consider that. I mean, if this could be all that you wanted it to be, what would it be? And I think related to that is, why does this even matter to you? What's the soul of this? One thing that we talk about with our Mindfluence Revolution clients is the 3 S's of impact. Maybe I'll share that a second with you. That if you really want to make an impact with people, whether it's one-on-one in your practice, whether you're speaking to an audience, there are 3 S's of impact. And the first is substance. 7% of impact is substance. It's the information that you deliver, the content. 33% is sizzle. What's the environment, the ambiance that you create? What is it that's compelling about you? 60% is soul. Why does this even matter? And a lot of times we keep that soul part to ourselves. We're not really letting that out. And so for me, I think one of the reasons that has kind of stuck with me so much, why I want to go there with people, is really my own story. I got into chiropractic in the first place, I think inspired a lot. I knew I wanted to be a doctor of some sort. I wanted to do something to help people's health. My older brother was a hospital pharmacist. It was like, that's not what I want to do. Not interested really in blood a whole lot. So I knew I didn't want to do surgery. So it was like, what was that? And I didn't even know about chiropractic. I mean, this was back in the 70s, and obviously chiropractic had been around for a long time, but I didn't hear a bunch of people talking about it. There was no Jim Chester Chiro Hustle at that point in time. So, but my dad was kind of the perfect example of how not to live. I mean, he had his first open heart surgery at 51. He had prostate cancer. He had bladder cancer, had bone cancer, and died. Multiple open heart surgeries. I mean, and it was like, this is not how I want to live. And I want to tell everybody else, this is not what you want either. So that's what got me started. That's what carried me through school. But I still didn't really get the depths of what this contribution was going to be, I don't think, until I was 3 years or so into practice, and I had just adopted my wife's twin 5-year-old daughters. And then within a month or so, she had a heart attack at the age of 34 and died. And it was in the pain, the grief, the struggle, and calling out to God for some sort of ability to reassemble my life. I've got these girls now, to be able to say, I surrender. If I could be whole again and have a life worth living, then I will dedicate the rest of my life to helping other people find and live their best life. And so that was just a few years into practice. And as we talked about, I've been in practice 35 years, or I sold my practice just recently, but all of those years, I became a better doctor. I was a better husband the second time. I was a better dad. I'm a better coach, because that kind of contribution to people is what drives me. And that's where I'm always turning it around to say, what are you doing and why are you doing this? You've only got so much time. And I knew that all too well.
Yeah, that's it's very inspiring. And that's like, what these buzzwords here in the social sphere. What you're supposed to do is be authentic, be vulnerable, and be real, and be transparent. And I think that you accomplished all of those big buzzwords within those comments that you shared with us. I think it's pretty amazing when people understand the magnitude of what they do when they become a chiropractor, and when they dedicate their time and their energy to it. Let's talk a little bit about how you've been able to sustain that for so long, and what really drove you to become such you have amazing foresight. So what drove you to actually get to the point where you started creating content to support the profession?
It's a good question. And see, how do I answer that? It's a good question, but what's the answer? I think that the driving thing for me was after that change. When I started in practice, I think I saw people, with pain conditions that wanted to be relieved. But there was something that happened part way. I mean, you mentioned my book, and here's my book. It's a shameless pitch. No, it's a shameful pitch.
Bring it up a little higher. Bring it up higher. There we go.
But the subtitle, so where does it hurt? The subtitle, Surprising Stories and Insights for Releasing Pain and Restoring Whole Body Health. So the thing for me was, after I went through that kind of crisis and that sort of healing that really moved me to a deeper level in what I shared with people, and I think authenticity deepened. I became a more authentic person with the people that I was serving. And I saw people on my table who had blockages somewhere in body, mind, and spirit, right? So the focus in my book was, these are not just people with physical pain. These are people with blockages in their life somewhere. So I wrote, the thing that drove me with the book was to be able to say, where are you blocked? And the power of chiropractic to be able, just like with Candace Pert's book, Molecules of Emotion, that was a big deal for me, or Bruce Lipton's Biology of Belief, books like that helped me say, this is so big. How can I possibly in my career get this across to people? But it was one day at a time, one conversation, one changed life, and all the way to the point to when I sold my practice last year, or actually it was the end of the year before, that all these people came and showed up for my last day. We had a little event, and it was like so touched my heart, because all of these people were telling me about the life changes that had occurred. So it's like, you don't know the ripple effects through all of that time. And people have asked me, they said, so, why would you, you're still young. I'm 61 years young, right? So, and I feel like I've got so much in me. I'm thinking about, okay, what do I want to do on my 104th birthday, right? It's like, I used to think I wanted to run a marathon, and I decided, nah, I've done that, and I'm not going to do that at that point. But I think they said, why would you sell the practice? And the motivation to make a shift was not that I ever stopped loving every minute of it, but to be able, I just had this, I guess, feeling like there was something in me that moved me to say, legacy wise, not only my son, who, thank you for mentioning him, my son Christopher Norton here in San Diego, California. He and his business partner are just, I'm so proud of them. They are changing lives, and they're not that many years into practice. It took me way longer to learn what they know. But I just thought, from a legacy perspective, that if I could help hundreds to thousands of doctors help hundreds to thousands more patients, then I can make even better use of the rest of my life. So that drives me. That I never weary of that. And I get to talk to people like you.
Hey, it's been an honor to get to know you over the past couple months. I remember the first conversation we had. I paced around for probably over an hour around my whole house and my front yard, and we just shared. I let it rip, man. I told you like what I was up to. I told you what I was into. I shared with you like where I came from, where I was going. Like I gave you the whole playbook.
Yeah, you did. You did. You were pre-Chiro hustling at that point.
I was.
Well, you were still Chiro hustling, but it was before this program. But yeah, you were sharing about your documentary, sharing just about your passion for this. And I think, that's my business partner in Mindfluence. He didn't know about chiropractic, and when we met, and so, he tells people all the time, it was the passion that he felt in me, and he's inspired by chiropractors. He's been a business consultant, created businesses, sold businesses his whole life, but he'd never met anybody like this like when he met chiropractors. It's like there's nobody else who has this kind of life passion.
I'm gonna share something with you real quick. My sister. So who out there would say that the easiest people to influence are your own family? I don't see any hands going up. They're the hardest people to influence.
Yeah, right.
And my sister today, she sends me this message. It's a very sincere, sweet thing she did. And this isn't like typically what I do. I don't share like, personal messages, but she says, saw your friend Dr. Sheedy today. He's a chiropractor back in Davenport, Iowa, where I'm from. And I go, and? She goes, I liked him. I go, awesome, with the big heart. She goes, he said that you're a good guy and that you're very passionate.
You're a good guy and you're very passionate. Well, I would agree on both counts.
So the passion that people have has to be the ultimate motivator for people to stick with anything.
Yes.
Like we said, why would we dedicate our life energy to something that we weren't like totally vested in? And I think that from that first conversation that we had back in Denver before I moved out here and before the whole Chiro Hustle thing started happening, it was just very sincere, the interactions that we had with each other. And I could tell the passion on both ends of the phone.
Yeah. Well, I think, it's when you think about passion, I always feel like life is too short and too long to be doing anything that isn't compelling for you. But I never knew how, I didn't know enough about chiropractic when I first started school to have any idea that 35 years later, I could play in the sandbox of chiropractic, that it was so big I could reinvent. I'm a big idea kind of reinvention guy, right? I'm always trying to tell people, to encourage them. You don't need to stay in any specific, keep growing, keep learning. Once you go down the corridor, turn the corner, there'll be doors and windows. You don't even know we're there. But every corridor I've gone down, every door that opens, it's still under this amazing umbrella of chiropractic, of how big it is, that I not only was changed so many things in terms of my office environment, an open room, changed adjusting approaches, computer diagnostics, all these things that I did, all the teaching, writing this book. So I became an author, a speaker, right? And created all this different content, but it was all still housed under the big idea of chiropractic. I mean, how amazing is that? How many people could say that about their particular career choice?
And the thing is that you've seen the trends too. You've seen it when it was the 70s, when you said no one really knew what chiropractic was. You got into it because you thought it would be something cool to like help people with. It didn't involve the other medical model.
Right. Yeah. That was kind of what I knew. Yeah. And I went and found a mentor, and I kind of followed him around and learned. And I went, I think I could do this, but I didn't really get it. And even the first years in practice, I don't feel like I really got it. It was over a bit of time, but I'm grateful that I did. I'm grateful that I really did get the life-changing picture. Yeah.
But back to the core of the story, you said, oh yeah, my son's been out in practice for 3 years, but I don't know how he's gotten how he's done it so quickly. Maybe it's a little bit of the mentorship.
Yeah. Well, and I do feel like, there was nobody there really to mentor me in many ways. But there's so much more available now. There's so many great people helping. And we talked earlier about that we both share involvement in the Chiropractic Experts Network. Yes. That was kind of a vision idea that came from me. Barb Eaton, who's our sponsor today, and many others the people who are watching would know that are joining and being a part of our group. But the purpose of that really was to be able to have all of us who are kind of together trying to help chiropractors be able to help more of the world experience the life-changing impact of chiropractic, which means not only the message, but their businesses need to get better. They need to have a clearer vision. They need to take it to the streets, but they also need things like internal office stuff, like Dan McCoy, who's a part of our group, doing IT work. Well, it's not everybody just telling the chiropractic story directly. It's people serving any number of the different needs that chiropractors have so they can be liberated and set free to go change the world better.
Well, I find that the group is more represented with non-chiropractors, and we have a good mixture of people that are having influence from outside in that now live inside of the profession, as opposed to just a brain trust of chiropractors thinking that their chiropractic mind thinks marketing or thinks tech stuff. Like, it's cool that people have specialties that are in that group that can potentially bridge the message to more people.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I think that is part of what makes it unique. And the fact that there's people like you that get chiropractic and have such a passion for it at such a deep level, and you're not a chiropractor. It's like you have more passion than, fortunately or unfortunately, than so many of my chiropractic colleagues. Well, but you're working at changing that. So good work.
Well, I think the thing is, Dr. Matthew, is as we see anything transform, sportscasters, they share the sports story. We find people that are like, video gamers, they share video game tricks and hacks and things, and they get niched into it. And that's what they pay attention to. Back in the day, it was like travel journalists. That was like the big whoop-de-doo to go out there. And then, we find different channels of things. And as you become more of an expert and more focused on a certain message, it becomes easier to tell that story. And I think that that's just a really sweet spot that I've been able to hold, is to be that news anchor type personality, the passionate one that actually takes not only the thought but puts action into it. Right. And I think that that's the real separator that we discuss in life. Is there's people that have the most brilliant minds, but the most brilliant ideas, where are they?
Right.
They're in the graveyard.
Yeah, right.
Because most people take their passion and their brilliance with them to the graveyard. They don't actually cash in on that while they're still alive. And people don't learn how to celebrate themselves with their passion along the journey of life.
Yeah, and while they're in the process of that being, delivering that message, reaching out to make sure that other people are kind of coming along with you. I think that's one thing great that you're doing is you're bringing people forward with you in your journey.
And
That's awesome.
the thing is, Doc, is it's relevant.
Yeah.
Like that's the reason why this platform's so important right now, because it's sharing relevancy. It's
Mm-hmm.
sharing your story, which is relevant. It's sharing the student's story earlier at Northwestern College, which is relevant. It's talking about the impact of getting a consortium of great minds together to help push the chiropractic profession forward, which is relevant. We talk, we talk our true story. We share that with people, which is relevant. And I think that this live platform it could go awry, as we discussed earlier as well.
Right. Yes, we had an example of that. Yes.
but the whole truth of the matter is it's relevant, and this is what people are actually, the social platforms are pushing people to be integrated with. Mm-hmm. So the more that we can, make a show and to create a content bubble that people are interested in, and we get viewership. And just like I told you earlier, man, this month we had over 10,000 more viewers than we did last month to the Chiro Hustle podcast.
That's awesome.
And you know what that's like, being a podcaster.
Yeah. Audience is helpful. If you're going to be effective. Yes. If you're going to be effective.
But it also helps that we have great sponsors, that people believe in us and they give us the flexibility to focus our attention to talking chiropractic.
Yep.
And I think that, I can't say enough about the people that support us from the sponsorship team that we have, that really give us the momentum to tell the chiropractic story on a daily basis. But I guess I've also pushed myself a little bit too, is I said, you know what, why don't we go live every day? Why don't I put an interview out every day and then just totally like blanket the industry with chiropractic interviews and see what we can do with that. And
that's great.
Honestly, that's the reason why I think me being in the Chiropractic Experts Network group with you gives that whole different layer of like the Chiro hustle.
Yep. And I'm glad that you are, and I'm excited to see where we're going to go. It really is a journey. And we were talking before we went live on this, just in terms of this metaphor that we've been using in the Mindfluence Revolution. Yes. That came to us, a number of months ago, relative to the Wizard of Oz. And I'm actually finding there are people who have never seen the Wizard of Oz, so we're then giving them homework to do since they don't have context for what I'm talking about. But that in the Wizard of Oz, there's an Emerald City, right? That Dorothy and her friends that she accumulates along the way. Just like you and I are friends being accumulated along the way, right, towards an Emerald City. So they're going somewhere and there's a purpose. There's needs to be met, and there is redemption. There's healing. There's something amazing that happens of wholeness in this Emerald City, right? So thinking about doctors of chiropractic as heroes on a hero's journey. Joseph Campbell talked about the hero's journey, right? So the Yellow Brick Road is this hero's journey for a doctor or other doctors that are together in a practice and their team members to travel to be able to get to an Emerald City. So we're starting to do work. We created something called an Emerald City Dream Sheet to help the doctor and team members be able to dream into. We give direction and guidance to dream into what's that Emerald City look like for everybody to be living there every day as a destination. What would that look like? What would that be like? And then to the degree that we can do it better together, like so much of what we see happening is doctors and teams are not optimized. So a lot of where our Mindfluence wheelhouse is offering is in leader optimization and leader team development and optimization towards a vision. And what we're finding is that just like Dorothy and the Scarecrow and the Lion and the Tin Man, they would go through whatever they went through and they met each other, right? And then they would be arm in arm and they were off to see the wizard again. They were together, right? And they each had their different issues. They each had their different strength, their contributions to make. So we're doing we do a lot of assessments. I love doing assessments. I'm a brain science, psychology, human behavior kind of guy. And so we do core motivators, behavior style, emotional intelligence, trying to be able to blend these people so that they can do this compelling hero's journey work in the chiropractic world to be able to get to that Emerald City. Because guess what? If everybody is doing this better together, then what happens is how much of the world gets brought forward in the world of chiropractic, how much of the patients, the public, that community gets brought down the yellow brick road to their Emerald City. And to me, that's what we're doing, is we're really helping set people free, empowering people to live into the biggest dream for their life, whatever it is. I mean, how cool is that? That inspires me. That I could go on, which I just did, but I could go on for quite a while about that, because to me, that is so compelling. Whatever you have your dream to be, then to be set free and empowered to live it, that's what everybody wants, right?
You've made it to Chiro Hustle Live. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Chiro Sushi, Barbara Eaton's 56-day chiropractic boot camp, California Jam, Move Well University, the Black Diamond Club, Pure Chiro Notes, the Chiro Dex app, Dr. Alok Trivedi, Chiro Spark, Chirogram, Chiropractic Wealth Management, 8 Weeks to Wellness, Integrative Freedom, and Element Mattresses. Let's hustle.
Yeah, it inspires me because a lot of times I get the chance to talk with people that are at the upper tier of this profession, and I get a chance to, like, if you will, pick their brain and psychoanalyze what they've done to make themselves great. And I get a chance to circle up with like the most brilliant people. And like you said earlier, when you were launching your podcast, you're like, hey man, I just looked at like a list of people that had books that I read that I really liked, and I just reached out to them.
And a few said no. Like I was pretty audacious. It was like I just contacted Malcolm Gladwell, and he said, "Man, I'm a little busy right now," or Seth Godin, or some people. But I got responses. I mean, but it was amazing some of the people that said yes. So another thing to say is I encourage everybody watching, whatever you have in you to do, go for it. Be like Jim and just go for it. Get your backdrop for your life, and with your version of Chiro Hustle, and go for it.
Yeah, it's the truth. Like anybody that has any type of ambition out there, just live it out. And the top of the mountain is out here 14,000 feet high, but we still do that. Yeah, Tom Potisk sent me this little 16-minute film. I'm just gonna interject for a second, but he sent it to me. It's called Slow Mo, and it's about this guy he was a medical doctor, and he gave up his career, and now what he does is in Venice Beach, I think it's Venice Beach, he just rolls around on rollerblades all day, and he just does what he wants to. And after you build a career and you do what you're supposed to, what the norm of society tells you to do, you should be able to do what you want. And I retired this past year. It's like, what do I want to do? All I want to do is interview people. I want to travel around and share the chiropractic story. I want to teach people how to get new patients. I want to inspire the young ones to be great leaders. I want to take court with the greats. I want to give people a voice that didn't have a voice before. And that's like the most brilliant place for me to be. And I get to be that authentic, transparent individual that people are gravitated to because they can tell I do what I want to.
Yeah.
And how many times are you detracted from somebody you meet that doesn't do what they want to? It's like, like I don't want to.
Because then you're not free, right? I mean, there's something that's attractive about living as though you're free, and hopefully that's true and authentic that you are. But it also makes me think too, because in Mindfluence Revolution, we talk about success, because what do people say they want? They want to be more successful, but what is that? So we talk about, for success to be sustainable, what are the ingredients of sustainable success? So for one thing, you have to have enough wealth, right? I mean, if you don't have any money, then that's not really sustainable success. But many people think that's what success is, right? If I could just get enough money. But it's so we define it as at least these four key components, that it's wealth, contribution, right, which is a perfect fit for chiropractors, contribution, fun. In other words, you need to be enjoying it, because if it's miserable, whatever it is, or it's, you're living in mediocrity, you should change. And the last one is time freedom. If you never have any time, and all those things, as the older I get too, it's like I wake up each day grateful that, oh, here I am, it's another day. But I also see my life, the time ticking. And now that I'm in my 60s, I see, the David Bowies of the world and others that didn't make it to 70. And I think, all the music that the people I loved when I was growing up, so many of those people are starting to die now, right? And I'm thinking, okay, that just spurs me on to say, I want to stay healthy and fit. But I also know that, especially after losing my first wife, I know that it can happen at any time. It's like, I need to make good use of this time. So I want to be able to have wealth. I want to be able to contribute till the day I die. I want to have fun. And I want to have some freedom to be able to enjoy the time. And I think if you've got that, you've got success. That's success.
And right there, brother, that's relevant. And I think that that's what people need to hear. I think that that's the gift that you have on this episode, is to share those perils of wisdom and to be able to share what is it that matters to us. And time, fun, freedom. I mean, those are things that like everybody could beat their drum to. Like, I want to have more quality time. Yeah, of course. I want to have more freedom and have more fun. Like BJ Palmer said, don't take yourself too damn serious. Like,
yeah,
you can work yourself to death as well, and and not enjoy it. And I think that that's something to also be clever about too, is if you are going to work yourself to death, at least do something you're enjoying.
Right. Yeah. Well, and there is going to be a to death at some point, right? So I guess, people say, and it's funny because after I sold my practice, right, people say, oh, I heard you retired. And it's like, nah, you don't know me that well, because I will never retire. I say, no, I reinvented. I did not retire. And not just to be semantic detail, but it was like, no, I am far from retired. If you watch what I did every day, I'm not retired at all. But another thing I was thinking too is I just back to authenticity. Earlier on in my life, I think I wanted it to be more about me. I'm not sure I intended it to be that way, but I felt like I wanted to be somebody. And I think I care less now. It's like, oh, I think I maybe already am somebody, or I've already been somebody. So it's like, because when is that enough? When have you ever, just like when is enough money? People say more. So when is enough validation that you've contributed at a high enough level, or you've arrived enough? Most people go through their whole lives still feeling like there's still music they never got to. They never played that, right? So I think I let go the idea that I need to be a famous speaker. I need to be known all over the world. I needed my book to be a New York Times best. Yeah, that was about me, right? So instead, I've kind of decided, I'm letting go of that increasingly every day. And it's just like, I want to make a difference for people. So when you said, hey, do you want to be on my program? It's like, yep, maybe there'll be somebody that I could make a difference in their lives today. So.
Exactly. And I feel the same way. And I feel the same about us becoming friends. And I think that, us just like breaking down the wall of distance by having conversation. And then we have familiarity, and now we have common ground. And now what I've been doing is influencing people to come into this group that we're a part of. And now you can see like the massive web of influence that a young guy like me has in this profession, and the amount of respect. I might not be famous either, but I guarantee you that 10 out of 10 people would say something awesome about me.
Yeah.
And that there is that what we call it. What'd you say? We have to beat the streets. Well, we have to have street credit too.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's what this show does, is it gives me that street credit to where people want to work with me now. And it's probably, the most genius thing that anybody that's in chiropractic marketing could do, is to develop a platform like this and to share people's stories, and then to integrate themselves into the different groups that are out there and to become the go-to for the media market angle. And I think that that's something to be said about, am I famous? I don't know. I made a film on chiropractic, just like you made a book on chiropractic. But, does that make us any more famous than what we are to our friends or family? Does that make us any more money than what we originally could have made doing something else? I don't know. But, money doesn't dictate happiness. It doesn't dictate status. I mean, it can buy you a big house and a fast car, but that goes away eventually too.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think one of the keys is that you stepped out as a leader to do this, right? You stepped out. And so the various ways that I've stepped out in my life and taken risks and said, I'll put myself out here. I will get up on a stage and share what I think and what's in my heart. I will reach out and interview people. I will, I will put myself out there as a doctor with a desire to serve without knowing where that will go, right? But the people in the Chiropractic Experts Network, things like that, it's like, if you're willing to lead, then there'll be people who will resonate with that and they will follow. So I just always encourage people to, whatever it is that's in you to do, if you're willing to take a front position and build something, that's why I'm a big fan of Seth Godin. He talks about starting, just do it, go for the dream, whatever it is. And you know what? It may not work. And then you may modify it, do something else, but that's okay, because at least you're playing. And I think that's important.
Yeah, my friend, I'm going to throw a shout out to one of my buddies back in Arlington Heights, Illinois. His name is Bob Stopka. And Bob and he was actually a practice member at the clinic I was working at. We became good friends. But he told me one thing when I was still a traction technician inside of a CBP office. He said, you don't have to get it right, but you have to get it going. Yeah. And that they're like an ultimate thought flash light bulb just like blew up in my mind. And I'm like, wow, that just left such an imprint on me that, I might not have it right, but at least I don't give up. And right. That's the thing about if you start doing something and you enjoy it, stick with it. But I'm going to turn this back into chiropractic. Life is so much easier for me being unsubluxated.
Yes.
And I think clearer. I perform better. I have better quality of life. I have more zest. I have more appeal. I have more gratitude. And I think that that's something that goes back to that common ground root of what is chiropractic. Well, chiropractic helps release innate potential. It helps release these things inside of us that otherwise might go away. We might go away with the music stuck inside of us, right, yeah, if we don't learn how to release ourselves. But also, I don't know anybody can adjust themselves, so everybody should go find themselves a chiropractor to check Absolutely. Them and to adjust them if necessary. Yeah. And there's those common ground things of chiropractic that makes it make sense to me, where other people are like, oh, I have to be injured before I see them.
Right.
Like, no.
It's one thing I liked about Candace Pert's Molecules of Emotion, she talks so much about the flow of neurochemistry through the body and where we get our framework locked up. So, from a spinal neural perspective, it's on so many dimensions of who we are as human beings. It ends up blocking that flow of life, whether it be emotional, spiritual, physical, the ability to have one thing I'm loving doing is doing emotional intelligence assessments with leaders and key team members. Well, what's going on there is we're finding, there's blocked stuff on an emotionally intelligent level, right? So if you're not getting adjusted, well, how is that impacting dialing down your emotional intelligence? It's not the only factor, but it's certainly a foundational factor. So you're right. It is, that's like if you're going to try to be the best in any part of your life, you need to be getting adjusted.
But that's just it. Even the smartest people out there think that chiropractors crack bones.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that was
even the most brilliant people think chiropractors crack bones.
And that was the thing of why I even used the term, releasing pain. That's part of what it was about, but not relieving pain. Is what I told the editor. It's like, no, that has to stay, because we're releasing. Why is pain happening? We're not trying to relieve anything. That's a different focus, right? We're actually trying to release it and let the body get back to doing what it was designed to do. So releasing pain and restoring whole body health, if that's the design, then let's get that stuff out of the way. But and get those software upgrades, get those next software upgrades.
But that's why it's so vital for us to keep telling the story, because somebody watching right now might share this with somebody that doesn't understand chiropractic.
Yep.
And that's why it's important for everybody to become their own media company and to start doing content as fast as they can and flood the marketplace with positive spin on chiropractic, and to give, people a voice to talk about what they love, that it's not about the neck pain and back pain. But I'm going to tell you, yesterday, 2 days ago, I started working out hardcore, and my back did not feel good.
Yeah.
So I went and saw my buddy out here, Dr. Nick Seacrest. He did some muscle testing on me, told me I'm structurally good, did a few, and then adjusted me moves. And, he's very low force, but he got it to work. I went to the gym again today. It was a little sore, but, it's not about the pain. It's about the function.
Yep.
So it's not about relieving pain. It's about releasing the pain.
Yep.
And, that's so cool, that we can reframe the way people think about something that's a big deal to them. And I tell people all the time when I meet them, we're not interested in your pain. It sounds insensitive. What we're really interested in is your functionality. You're the one that's interested in your pain.
Yeah. That was an area that I focused on in the book, was on disturbed function. And so I got, and I had it as DF on a couple of chapters in the table of contents. And so when I was doing various radio and TV interviews, that was, they would go, so tell me about DF, so I had a chance to talk about disturbed function. So just to help them see, this is what it's about. The focus is on function. So, yeah.
And to go full circle on that, whenever I'm out doing a screening, which I was doing tons of them over the past couple of years, I would meet couples, and the guy would have low back pain, and then I'd show them on a somatic chart where those nerves are going, and then she's like, "You have to get in."
Yeah, different things motivate different people.
Bingo. But when you can make the story relevant to people, and you can package it to where they understand it, it's more than a pain condition; it's a functionality condition.
Well, and that's one of the things too about even wellness care. It's like the idea of wellness is an abstraction to a huge degree for so many people, and they don't really relate. Well, I mean, don't I have that now? I don't know. I seem like I'm fine. But when you can relate it to quality of life and the ability to engage, and not just now, but what about when you're, 61 like me, or 81 or 101? What about quality of? People are not thinking about that. Oh, I'm okay for today. Well, yeah. Well, let's see. See how that goes.
That's why I like guys like Billy DeMoss and what he says. Your body doesn't have a lack of pain med in it.
Right.
You don't have a pain med deficiency.
Right. It's true.
And I think that when you think about it in those terms, people are like, I don't have an ibuprofen deficiency.
Right.
No, you weren't born with ibuprofen in your DNA, bro.
It's true.
Well, I really like chatting with you. I know that we had a lot of people on the stream here. I'm just going to throw a quick shout out to the people that played with us and throw some comments to us and give us some love. Kat Sarah, she is just such an advocate for chiropractic. She's not a chiropractor either, but she's been supporting everything that I've done since we've been doing these live streams. It's been really cool to build a relationship with her. Tom Potisk up there at the Gonstead Guardians. He's up there in Mount Horeb. He is in charge of the restoration of the Gonstead Clinic up there, turning that back into the flagship that it should be, and being a temple of excellence for the future of chiropractic, because Clarence was somebody very special in this chiropractic profession. And I love just talking to Tom. He does good impersonations of Clarence as well. And then we have Tim McFadden, as always, he runs the Chiro Dex app. They are a massive supporter of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Can't say enough about what Tim is doing for the profession. He graduated from the tech world into becoming a chiropractor. So he's got a really interesting spin on it. He's actually an episode of Chiro Hustle too. If people want to go back and check out one of our archive episodes. It sounds funny, archived, but it's we put out so much content. we put out so much content that it is an older episode. I think he's maybe like episode 6 or something. And then we have Sean Rundle with the Clothes for Chiro group. It's always great that the people that do support me come on and support the podcast itself. That says something about, rooting for the home team kind of.
Yeah.
Cool. And the Clothes for Chiro group, they exactly do what you were talking about. We need to make successful chiropractors to where their headspace is right, to where that they get the quality of life that they're supposed to provide to themselves, so they can then give the care that's supposed to be given to other people. And I think that the Clothes for Chiro group are definitely nailing that on the head with the hammer. But let's Barry Hobbs, such an awesome guy. He says my vision rocks. I would have to agree with you. I'm going to pull a Liam Schubel on this one. I'd have to agree with you, Dr. Barry Hobbs. My vision does rock. And then we have Barb Eaton on from Alaska. She is the 56-day chiropractic boot camp, and she's the sponsor of today's episode. And love her to pieces. She makes chiropractic rock as well. Her vision is very amazing, and she's doing a great job on these live streams as well. So if you guys haven't had a chance of seeing Barb Eaton do these live streams, she gets a lot of talent on as well. And Tim Schaub with Chiro Sushi. That guy and his son Tristan are such visionaries when it comes to bringing the chiropractic profession together. And just like what I like to say, I'm non-denominational. Unless you're preaching, let's bring drugs and surgery into the profession, or let's talk mechanism instead of vitalism, then hogwash. I'm in the camp of real chiropractic, and that's what those guys are doing out there with Chiro Sushi. Plus, they're bringing the business element of chiropractic to the forefront and really banding the smartest minds together in the profession when it comes to systems management, and not the old school coaching or not the old school practice management, but they're really getting people in tune with results-based coaching and results-based management. And I think that that's the new chapter for chiropractic marketing and chiropractic success. You get paid by results, and we stay with you as long as the results are coming in. Until then, you better figure out a new play. But I think what Tristan is doing with the Chiro Sushi group is phenomenal, and Tim is his dad, and it's just really cool to see what they've been able to do in a short amount of time to contribute. Like you were saying earlier, contribution is something that's amazing. And then we have Steve Burleson, who also has a show. The guy's amazing. He's out of Chicago. Just a really cool guy. He's helping chiropractors all over the United States as well. And I think, we had 26 reactions, which is a positive stroke for us. We had 17 comments, which is really cool. And Barb Eaton was on, and she sponsored the segment. So is there anything that I didn't ask you, Dr. Matthew, you'd like to share with our audience today?
Well, I just want to thank you for having me on, and just if there's whatever I can do to be of help to you in your vision with your passion, you can count on me to be a contributor. And if there's anything I can do for anybody who's watching, any of your following, whether that be helping contribute to dreaming into their emerald cities, or anybody who would be interested in learning more about the value of using assessments for themselves or team members, anything like that. If I can be of service, you can go to mindfluencerevolution.com and check out a little bit more, learn more about what we're doing. And if I can be of help, that would be great.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to just once again say thank you to you for being my guest today. And I'm going to say thank you to Dr. Barbara Eaton with her 56-day chiropractic boot camp for being the sponsor of today's episode. And thank you to all of you that have been on the live stream today. And if you guys are watching this on replay and you do have questions for Matthew, Dr. Matthew, or myself, please put those in the comments and we'll be sure to get back to you with any questions or concerns you have. And if it is something of a concern, send us a private message and we'll take care of that.
Yes. Concerns are private. Yes.
Thanks, Doc. And we'll catch you on the next one.
Okay. Thanks, Jim. Take care. Thank you.
Good night. Yeah.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Chiro Hustle Live. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.